back to another segment or installment of the Easy Talk on Friday evening. We've got the Don, we've got the original one, we've got the H Man.
Hey!
Hey!
What is it? Sesame Street? No, it's not Sesame Street. It's Cannon Fodder. We're going to get into this one on the other side of this music intro. Yes, it is Friday evening. What is it? Friday evening, and it's Crackerjack. No, that's a different show.
Yeah.
Different show. That's a different show. I'm showing my age now. But anyway, yeah, we've got three familiar faces to my left, to my right. The Dawn is back. Larry, how have you been? Oh,
I'll be fine.
oh wow, okay.
It's been great. I missed you guys. I missed the program. And I'm sorry for missing the last thing you invited me. It was due to some unforeseen circumstances, but now I'm back.
Yeah, back in full effect, back in full. But welcome
Yeah.
back anyway. Welcome back. And to
Thank
the
you.
H-men, not the henchmen, the H-men. Tim.
We're just flying it over here. We're just kind of looking at by the way, I just predicted it there. I think all Arsenal have to do is stay winning at the rate they're winning, and they'll get projected from the results they have. They get 94 points, and for Man City to do that, they have to win all their remaining matches. So we really are in the power seat now. It's take it home, Eileen or Kathleen. I forget what that line is, but anyway, something like that.
Well, I can tell you something, lads. Here on the western fringe of Europe, I have never seen so much rain. So, as the saying says, come on, Arsenal, you float my boat.
Well, you know what? The first actually topic I wanted to talk about was there's 10 games to go, Larry. I know Larry, we've been talking about, the matches coming up. The final third, Larry, can Arsenal get it done?
I believe Arsenal can do it. We can do it with the intensity, with the spirit, and also they want to taste the Arsenal want to go up again. We've been the gladiators in the past, and now all of a sudden, due to some policies, we went down the game. Now we're coming up with Ateta. We really flying. And right now, I know the spirit, the enthusiasm, and the cohesiveness among the players and with the fans, with the coach also and the manager. And like I see, even the owners are ready to back Arsenal up in any format, and we have seen that they are responding. You can see what happened in January. They were ready to even pay like something million for moving until first they came in. That shows the preparedness. And if you remember when Ateta came in, he said the first season they will manage, the second season they will try and be in Europa, then the third season they actually was supposed to be for Champions League top four, and then the next one was to win the league. And now he's going his position, and you will see that he's really prepared, and it's also his plan are working out because he's able to ship out the deadwood and got the mobile player, the fast ones, the ones that are very intelligent on the field of play, and that those who are ready to visit and work according to his plan. And I believe with the preparedness and the cohesiveness, the spirit in the team right now, we will win the league.
Uh, uh, Larry, I know we're going to be talking about Arsenal getting knocked out of the Europa Cup against Sporting Lisbon, but do you think that was a blessing in disguise? Now they don't have to have that distraction of the Europa League. Was it a blessing?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, I believe it's a blessing in disguise. For every disappointment, there's always a positivity in it. So I believe now all our concentration is on it, and we do everything. So I'm not bothered about Europa League that we are knocked out. The Premiership is 5 times better than Europa League for me.
Mm.
And the fact that it's been long 19 years, we have lost the respect in the Premiership. We have lost the respect among the pundits. I can see many, although let's leave sentiment apart. I know some of them are sentimental, like like the Gary Neville who went to Valencia and failed. And we're talking about Arteta as if he doesn't want to agree that Arteta is better than him. I know he's jealous and he's envy. You understand? But other ones too, they have lots of respect. I always listen to talk sports. I see Danny O'Hara, how he used to condemn Arsenal. I know he's a Tottenham fan, but we want to regain our status back. We want to regain that glory days back. So, and I like it the way we have been the 10th force in the Premier League. So I'm not bothered about Europa League.
So before I go to the H-men, one more question, Larry. So if I had a crystal ball and I was actually Larry, we're not going to win the Premier League, but we will have Champions League football. Would you be upset that we didn't win the Premier League, or would you be thankful that we got Champions League football?
I would be upset if we have only 10 games left. Are you getting me? We are already in Israel. Now we are looking to enter Jerusalem. I will be very, very angry because with the first, with everything they are putting into it, they will win the race.
But Larry, did you know we were going to be top of the league in March? Because I didn't.
You see, after Christmas, let me say after the World Cup, you understand what I'm saying? After the World Cup, and I saw, we left for World Cup with 5 points clear of Man City. And we came back, and also we have gone on international break again with 8 points. But let me go remove 5 points. 3 points because Man City has a game in hand. We are clear with 5 points. It shows the consistency. It shows the consistency. It shows the belief that we can do it, and I believe we can do it. Like I was telling you earlier, I'm not afraid of Chelsea. I'm not afraid of Liverpool, and I know that we will fight it out with Man City. Every other game is a winnable for us.
Well, okay. Strong words from the Don. H-men, Tim. The final third, 10 more games to go. Thoughts?
Yeah. Well, firstly, I just want to take you up on one of your questions there for Don. I think that the Europa League is a great competition if you can win it. Now, half of the Europa Leagues in the last 20 years have been won by Spanish and Portuguese clubs. Less competitive leagues than obviously the Premier League, like Seville, Villarreal, Valencia. I know Atletico won it, Porto won it. These are the clubs that are winning this thing. They're in less competitive leagues, and ultimately they have reasonably strong squads for the leagues they're in, and they can probably rest players midweek. Arsenal have 10 games left. They have. I think they've only one midweek match. That's the Man City match, 26th of April. All the other matches are weekend matches. So that gives them an opportunity that Arsenal can pick their best 11. And the best 11 is a serious 11. Like Saka, Odegaard. Trossard has been the ultimate addition, because I think Trossard has really filled the void that maybe Jesus left without having the intensity of Jesus. Jesus dribbling with a ball at a defender is dynamic. It's pain. He's hard to stop. While Trossard is more of a playmaker, false nine. You'd see him sometimes. He'd be back nearly in front of Thomas Partey. He's way back the field. And obviously there's the Martinelli Trossard kind of combo. They switch in and out. So I think, to be honest, that Europa League is, look, Arsenal are traditionally more of a domestic team than a European team, and that Europa League, let's be honest, the big thing in Europe is the Champions League, and that's where Arsenal want to be competing. But in this season, and the opportunity to have 8 points clear, 10 matches to go, I think it's set up for Arsenal. I think it's a good thing.
But Tim, surely, if we had made a serious charge in the Europa League and we won the Europa League, we would have gone into the Champions League with some pedigree at least.
Yeah,
getting knocked out, it's good if we win the Premier League. The Premier League is not done and dusted, is it?
Oh, it's not done and dusted. But I was, as I was just saying, we were checking the teams here for tonight's international friendlies. But if you think about it, now Rob Holding was very good against Crystal Palace. He came in, he's aggressive, he's good in the air, he got his tackles, made good strong tackles. But Saliba is really the dynamic defender. He's that playmaking central defender. I love Gabriel. I think he's so honest and he gives his all. But Saliba provides that little bit of silk that you need. The old, as the saying goes, the old silk glove for the iron fist. He provides that. But I think that Saliba, if he was been put under pressure with back injuries, the big thing is get him fit, get him back, give him a break. And I wouldn't even bring him back for the Leeds match. If his back still wasn't right, I'd bring him back for the Liverpool match. It's Leeds is the 1st of April, I think. And I think it's Liverpool the 9th, is it? I think they're the first 2 matches. So I think that's the match I'd bring him back for. I'd rest him, have him right. And I would actually be saying at that point, let's get Gabriel Jesus back. Let's get your best 11 and put him on the field, because really White, I think felt there. Now he was very good the last day, but White definitely, Tomiyasu was putting him under a bit of pressure, and I don't think it was that Tomiyasu was playing well. I just felt White was showing some signs of fatigue. But the last day he was back in, he was looked well, and Saka, like there's people over here saying, oh well, Arsenal are going to win the league, but like the player of the season is obviously Haaland. But I says the player of the season is the most influential player in the team that lifts the cup. That's in my idea. That is the player of the league, and that in my eyes is Saka. He really has been just a class apart. And actually, one other thing I noticed, I saw during the week, is that Jesus in wide positions, he had something like an average of a goal or assist in every 97 minutes. In other words, every 100 minutes from wide positions. And he played something like 26 matches on the right wing in his, I don't know, over whatever spell. And in all those matches, he created or scored a goal. So in other words, if we had Jesus back, we have an option with Saka, put Jesus on the right, swap Saka to the left, because Saka has been getting a lot of punishment off fullbacks. And it'd be nice. So look, that's my belief. I think the Europa League, we know what's ahead of us. We know what we have to do. It's a matter of going out and do it. And the day against Bournemouth, we proved this team will stay going. They will fight on. And myself and Terry did the tour of Arsenal there about a month ago or whatever. And they have these 4 non-negotiables. And the first one of those is discipline. And I always think discipline is not a goal. Discipline is an effect. But the cause of that effect is work rate and mental strength, or calmness, whatever phrase you want to use. And Saka, Odegaard, and Jesus and Zinchenko have that in bucket loads. Sorry, Terry, I interrupted you there.
No, you're right. I mean, they are fearless. And that's the thing I really like. There's a real quality of fearlessness. And I'm sure, because I've watched Arteta work, and in any job where you're working with people, sportsmen or women, you've got to, what gets you over the line in difficult situations is this sort of spirit. It's this determination. It's this ability not to fear an opponent. Do your homework, put it all out there on the pitch on the day. But I remember in the recent final, the team that Tim coaches, that I've been helping him with, and we were about 2 points up with 6 minutes to go. And Tim had done all this wonderful work, stick work and all that. And he said to me, now we find out how passionate these boys are, how much they really want it. And they went out and scored 4 more points unanswered, and won it by 6 points with a fantastic display in the last 2 minutes of defence, you know. So I think Arteta is methodical, and he'll organise it. He's got plenty of time between matches now to set the team up, look at who we're playing, play to our strengths, but be cognizant of the opposition. The key now, several things I'd be thinking. First of all, he wants as best as possible to have his first 11, and we can probably all pick that first 11 straight away. Second one, it may be a small thing, but it's not, is no sendings off. Yeah. Do not if you get a yellow card, I would either hook them off or warn them. I don't want anything that the ref might misinterpret it as a second yellow. So keep your best 11 on the pitch.
Yeah.
And so you've got your best 11. You've got all your tactics sorted out. You've got bags of time to sort that out. I want them to go out fearless. You need to go up to Anfield fearless, cognizant that you're at a very difficult place to even get a point from. I think the Anfield match is key, and City again we've got, and Newcastle away is tricky.
Yeah,
very, very tricky. We've probably got a slightly more difficult run-in than City, but the good news is City are trying above all else to win the Champions League.
Yeah,
that's the one jewel in their crown that they haven't won so far.
Yeah.
So City are going to go all out for that. They've also got the FA Cup, which is going to keep them busy, and they might get injuries here and there. So it's set up, and I've seen Arsenal over the years where they've been going towards what might be a possible first place in the division. Now we've got to, there will be some matches which we squeeze through with just a 1-0 or a 2-1.
For example.
And you've got to accept that. It's going to happen. There's going to be, hopefully not more than 1 or 2, where we've not played great, but hopefully we've squeezed through, last minute goal or whatever. There's a lot of good things have to sort of go our way, but the more positive you are, the more chance you have of things going right for you. But let's not have any disasters like we had in the Champions League final, where people might remember this one. Instead of letting Barcelona player go through and score, he goes and gets himself sent off. And suddenly, yes, we did go a goal up shortly afterwards, but you've got 10 men and you've given yourself an almighty job. So I want 11 men on the pitch, no red cards, get out there, fearless, do your stuff. Oh, and the thing I noticed, I did get a ticket for the sporting match. I did manage to sort of get a ticket for that. And because Arteta rotated, we couldn't master this wonderful press that we have. What we do is we play the ball out of defence and we push the opposition back until everything is squeezed into one half of the field. And then we've got these forwards who are so beautifully trained in how to run off the ball, how to expect a ball in a different place. They've obviously worked so hard at that. So what I want is 10 games, if at all possible, where we're doing the same thing. I don't want to see what happened against Sporting, where it was tit for tat. It could go anyway. So, and that won't happen if we don't play our best team. So they've sent their some guy called what's his name, Murphy or something, who's a physio. He's got an Irish surname anyway, and he's gone out with Thomas Partey for Ghana, and he's kitted out in the Ghana stuff, and he's out there to make sure that Thomas Partey comes back uninjured. So. Those to me are the important things in team spirit, and the team spirit is the thing that carries all great teams through.
Just a couple of points there, Tel. I mean, you just mentioned your non-negotiables, suspensions and injuries. How likely is it really that we can escape the last 10 games, that we don't get to see any suspensions, that we don't get to see any injuries? How likely is that, Tel? 10 games? Well, we get to the real business end of the season.
Yeah, I think injury-wise, to a certain extent, it's in the lap of the gods. But we've got such a wonderful way of playing now that even though Saka is kicked from kingdom to come, I mean, he's not like Wilshere. I always felt Wilshere held onto the ball too close to himself. And when guys mistimed tackles, he always got it in the ankle. I think Saka's a bit too sort of canny for that, and he sees these things coming. So, we've got Jesus back in there. We've got some real quality players. Obviously, one of the key men is Thomas Partey. Yeah, he's the conductor, and if you don't have him, the registrar, I think they call him in Italian. If you don't have him, it's all looking a bit wobbly. Yeah. But get him back, get him safe. I hope, as Tim was saying, if Saliba's not right for the Leeds match, so be it. But get him back in when he's right, because I was watching some footage of the amount of tackles he's done. And for a 6'4" guy, he's got a lovely light touch.
Oh yeah, beautiful.
When
he's
tackling.
He's a beautiful. He could transform into like our next kind of Tony Adams type of player. He has that silkiness about him.
Yeah.
So Gabriel will always be a kind of maybe has to work a bit harder and maybe mightn't be as fluid. But like Saliba looks to have a very high ceiling when it comes to ability. And just go back to Partey. Everyone in Ireland now is very knowledgeable about Thomas Partey this week because Chris Hughton, the former Tottenham fullback, the Irish fullback, got the Ghana manager's job, and he was singing his praises all week. He's the key component for them. But if you remember back, when Partey came first, Joe, he found it hard maybe to adjust to the Premier League.
Yeah.
Coming back. And actually, Casemiro is finding the back. Casemiro has never been sent off in all his time in Real Madrid. He's had his second or third sending off since he's come to United. When you move into the Premier League from these other leagues, it's high tempo, it takes a while to adjust. So that's the reason Trossard was such. He was as I call it, Premier League ready. He was came for Brighton. He was ready to go, and he was like. Even though Mudryk, like I said, would be a good player, and you could buy other continental players that would be very talented, there was no guarantee they were going to have the same impact. Because let's be honest, Eddie Nketiah was, and he fulfilled the role there for maybe a half dozen matches or that kind of, but defenders kind of figured him out, particularly a low press. He was kind of he wasn't there to generate space for himself, and really all the pressure was going back on Martinelli and Saka to try and get. With Trossard, not alone does he add a certain kind of cutting edge himself, but he also brings players in around him. He's a kind of a playmaking kind of. Now he would never be, I think, now maybe we're looking back through rose-tinted glasses a bit, but Jesus had such an intensity. Oh, Mother Divine! The ball at his feet. He was like a ballerina. Like he was at a move and swerve and duck, and like you couldn't pin him. And like as we all know, when you start running defenders, they're getting very conscious. Where's that penalty box? There. So he has that bit of class that maybe very few players have.
Yeah, Don. I know Don. He's just frozen now. Just quickly, guys. Out of the signings, if you could say which sign has been a key signing so far. The transfer window, will you no doubt say it's been Trossard? Has it been Trossard for you?
Yeah, in the most recent one, it was only Trossard and who else was that? Oh, the Chelsea guy.
And what's called as well, the Polish centre half as well.
Oh yeah. Kivior.
But Jorginho was good now. He played well there against Aston Villa. Do you remember the goal off Martinez? No, but yeah, I felt though, of course, I was watching this thing during the week. It was very interesting. I'm reading it a bit about it as well. It's it's something to do with Barcelona really more than Arsenal, but it's this what do they call them, box midfielders. So they play 2 6s and 2 8s, and Barcelona do it because they have Frankie De Jong, Busquets, Pedri, and Jad. They're trying to fit them all in. But other teams that they mentioned do it were Arsenal actually, and Arsenal do it. But the funny thing about Arsenal is the back left hand corner of the box is Zinchenko. So he's the back. So he's Zinchenko. But it said that a key component, if you do it, is to have very, very high tempo first thing and very pacey wingers. So that Zinchenko-Martinelli axis on that left-hand side, when Zinchenko cuts in, having Martinelli that can kind of come a bit deeper or has real pace. Like, I remember Mo Salah. I always admired Mo Salah, the speed he was running with the ball. And Martinelli has that kind of direct running at players. And now he's scoring goals. Like he's getting a lot of goals, and he showed fierce mental strength after missing that penalty to come straight back in and goal the next day. Away you go. Actually, Saka's cross for that goal was the best bit of football I think I've seen. It was just he pivoted. So Saka looks like he's just playing with the opposition. Some players like he's so talented. Like
Saka reminds me, lads, of Liam Brady coming through. When Liam came through, you knew he was a quality player. But when he got to about 21, 22, 23, he didn't plateau. He just got better and better. I see Saka maybe in 2 years' time being a central midfielder.
Yeah.
Because I think his vision and his awareness of, if you like, the football brain of the guy is so good that he's got it. In fact, there was one bit where he was playing for England last night, and he got the ball, and I could see what he was doing. He was going to play the ball blind because he couldn't have too many people around him, but he played it blind to where one of the Arsenal forwards would have been, and there wasn't an England forward there. And I'm thinking, I feel sorry for him because he's playing with substandard players.
Yeah. but the thing about it is, I remember watching it was against Fulham, and they were talking about like the overloads and all that. But one of the overloads against Fulham was Saliba back at his own pretty much corner flag, and he drew the Fulham front three across, and next thing he whipped it across. Xhaka was gone. It was just unbelievable. It literally was from one end of the field to the other in like high tempo.
And Tim, weak foot. His weak foot. He hit it with his weak foot.
Yeah.
I mean, you got 60,000 people watching you, and you think, should I risk this?
Yeah.
And obviously, has worked with him on it. That's the thing I noticed when Martinelli scored that goal against Palace. Some people had a camera on our goalkeeper Ramsdale, and when it came to Martinelli, he took 2 touches, left foot, toes pointed down, laces through the ball into the far corner, and you saw Ramsdale go, well, we see that in training every day.
Yeah.
All this stuff is drilled, and I mean drilled, like we would do, or you would do with the young team. Tim would go through so many scenarios of how you score, triangles of players and stuff, so that it's not by chance, it's by design. They know what to do as the ball's coming towards them.
Yeah, and those triangles are very important. Sorry, go on.
Sorry, Don. Sorry, Tim, to cut in there. Don, I want to ask you very quickly. Which player has taken your eye so far this season? You're on mute. Now's your moment, Don.
Go for it, Dom.
Can't hear you.
Have you my laptop?
Sing us a song, Dom.
Yeah. Can't hear you.
Yeah.
Oh dear.
Oh, what a shame.
What a shame.
Yeah.
But just to go back to that one thing, that like we were all very, I suppose, myself included, I was really hoping that Tommy Aston, because I liked him. I thought he was very honest. He brought a lot of work. He was very competitive. He was a lovely player. But like really, when White came back the way he came back last week, he really is a very central player to this Arsenal team going down that right-hand side with Odegaard like that. Now, it's obviously all to feed Saka, but like the two lads understand we have to create kind of inversions, or we have to kind of create overlaps. We have to create that little half a yard that Saka needs to break away into. But like definitely there's a strong kind of, how would I put it, support role for White in particular, and Odegaard as well, obviously.
Yeah. Don, are you with us? Can we hear you? We can't hear you.
No panic.
Oh dear.
Okay, unfortunate now.
Right. So whilst he sorts out his audio, talking about Don. No, we can't hear you. Your thoughts about the Kieran Tierney situation, Tel?
I'm a big Kieran Tierney fan. I know all the talk in the press. I mean, press doesn't mean a lot these days, but all the thing about the press is saying Arsenal are going to sell him. I have noticed a couple of times he's come on. He has done a Zinchenko and tucked in to that sort of box shape. I would hate to lose him. He gives us a plan B. If he's playing with Martinelli, he can go outside him. Instead of tucking inside him. But it depends what he said to Arteta. His head may have been turned by playing for I don't know, maybe Man United or something that have been after him. But I would definitely keep him.
Yeah.
But and just see if we're going to continue with this business of the box in midfield. Well, Zinchenko's not going to be able to play every game next season, and you've got a wonderful player. Okay, spent 25 years, if you like, training to be a left back, or certainly the last 10 years. But, everybody that's any good at any job must learn to take on new skills.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
he's quick.
Yeah.
He's got a sweet left foot. He's got vision. He's brave as a lion, you know. So maybe they've had a chat and he's saying, well, I'm prepared to sort of give it a go. In which case, instead of going off to find another player that Zinchenko might be subbed for, because he's not going to play all the games next season, maybe I'd keep Tierney for that. And I'd definitely keep him as well, because it's another string to your bow, that you've got a fullback who can go wide and go past people on the outside. So I would hate to lose him myself.
Yeah. Oh, he's a very good player. And he is the traditional attacking fullback.
Exactly.
Like, I mean, everyone's so fascinated with this new thing, but there is still a place for players getting to the byline, getting the crosses in, and players. Now, I have to say, I was very impressed with Zinchenko defensively the last couple of matches, but there was a little bit at one stage that Tierney was possibly a better defender. So now I think maybe Zinchenko has strengthened his argument in that for his recent performances. But yeah, Tierney is a good fullback, good on wingers that are kind of, going to come at you. And like you said, he is dynamic going up the wing. And Martinelli and Trossard, and we have that 5 kind of attacking bank anyway. We have a lot of attacking options at the moment. So maybe that isn't as, but you will need that going forward. And ultimately, like, Arsenal are going to be in Europe next year in the Champions League, and you're going to need a bigger squad. You're going to need a lot more players.
Yeah. I think Larry, are you with us?
You muted my thing. You are not unmuted me.
We can hear you now. We can hear you.
Because you mute me.
So the player who's taken your eye so far this season, Don?
Well, got my and about the guy because of the pressure. They might to play all time, and they have played the captain's role. They always want to always moving down midfield. It's one that moves the front play. They move 3 of them to move forward play, and it's massive. And the score. If you know you're strong, this is one of the best captains. So for January, Trossard was a perfect.
Okay.
So I rate very high, and
all right, your audio is breaking up a little bit, but before we go into the next topic, I just wanted to pick up something that Tel said about Bukayo Saka and making the comparisons with Liam Chippy Brady. Are you guys worried that he's not signed a contract just yet? I mean, he's agreed terms, but he's not signed a contract.
Well, apparently Arteta was spotted in a restaurant last week with him, and I did read today, but again, the press can tell you anything. There definitely is a big announcement coming up now. It could be Saliba, or it could be him. You know, I think he loves Arsenal. I think he's been there as a kid. He's got his feet firmly on the ground. He's a devout believer in God, and God is looking after him. His parents are at most matches, I think, and he's a London boy. So as long as that, I mean, listen, they've got to offer him some serious money. Okay, our wage bill is a fraction compared to Man United and City and teams, you know. So come on, Arsenal, you've got a homegrown lad. Offer him some decent money and keep him here, because his best years, I know he's got a very good chance of winning Player of the Year, and certainly Young Player of the Year. But you know, we have a gem. He is a Hale End gem, and there's a few boys coming through. Maybe that could get near to his standard, but it's a long time since we've had a player. I would suggest possibly Brady is the nearest I've seen to him. And as we all know, it was when Brady got to about 23, 24, he was the best left-sided midfielder in the world.
I mean, would money be the motivator, or would it be the potential for your club to win major honours, Tim?
I think, to be honest, when you're in the Premier League at the level there at the top, let's say 2, 3, 4 clubs, the money is nearly not as much. But what he's trying to balance it up is that Arsenal now, if they could win a Premier League, he was on good money, he could see himself being an iconic player then going forward and be like, I mean, I remember Brady, because people in Ireland obviously followed Brady an awful lot when he left, but like he went to Juve, and I think there was kind of I won't say a parting in terms of his ambition at that time, and he wanted to be successful and win things, and maybe he felt the support wasn't there. But Arteta, I think, is very good in that regard, and Arteta, like, if Arsenal win the Premier League, it would be a colossal success for Arteta's coaching. I mean, it'll be the biggest, how would I say, coaching success in a long, long time, because really, let's be honest, well, I suppose Klopp at Liverpool would have been the next, but like, I'm not fully buying into the whole Pep Guardiola thing. I think he's a good manager. He's able to manage players. He has a philosophy. He's imposing that on it. I think he could be but he doesn't seem to have, like, definitely Klopp with that one run he went on with Liverpool that they won there. But that was very impressive, that he really maximized his resources. Like Pep was very successful in Barcelona, but like people say about Messi, but also about 6 of the Spanish team that had won the World Cup in 2010. So it was literally you couldn't lose scenario. So I think Arteta is more a proper coach, working with his resources he's had. He's a very principled individual. We see that the way Ozil and Aubameyang and all these guys. If you don't toe the line, he'll fairly quickly get rid of you. But he's also very compassionate. I think he gives players a chance. He's also has shown a willingness to allow players kind of grow. And even when players I remember the Thomas Partey thing in particular. I remember that people were very hard on him, but like he always believed. He believed that Thomas Partey was working hard, was doing the work behind the scenes, and he felt he was going to come through and add a lot. And now Thomas Partey, like if we could say Trossard can replace Jesus, and you could even say that maybe players in terms of now not attitude, but even like Vieira, these could possibly replace Odegaard. But like there's really, Jorginho is a good step away from the level Partey's at, and he's as that famous saying, a guy I played with myself one time, someone asked him, was he any good? He says, I don't know, am I any good, but I stopped good players playing. And so Partey is a bit like that. He's that destructive element that every team needs. All
right. Do you know what? Let's take a break and go into the live chat and see who's joining us on this merry Friday evening with the henchmen. Sorry, the H-men and the dogs. Right, so we've got our moderator. He says, "Hey up, Gooners, and welcome all to Cannon for the TV and the Crazy Gang." I mean, how many members of the Crazy Gang can you have? Anyhow, the First Lady is in the house. Evening, guys. A quick hello, as not long in from their trauma of Hailstones. Oh yeah, yes, Hailstones, and then shopping after work. Wishing you lots of chatty chats, and hit the like button. Yeah, but tell you said that you gave us a weather report. How's the weather? What's the weather like?
Well, we did have hail yesterday, if I remember rightly, and it's been lashing all day. But as soon as Cannon Fodder comes on, it stopped raining here. So don't go off. Leave it running all night and tomorrow.
Believe me, yeah. Well, I just like to tell you that there's as we all know, and it's obviously been biblical, the famous tale of Moses and how Moses parted the Red Sea, right? Well, there's a Saint Kieran who lives not where he was from, supposedly very close to here, and he parted the Atlantic Ocean to walk out to one of the islands. And I tell you, that put Moses in the hippity place, really.
Noel Kane is also in the live chat. He says, evening, guys. Emerson, one of our moderators, content creators, says, evening, guys. Good points from our Irish boys and speak sense.
Hey! Up the Green Isle.
Yeah. Can't keep Tierney if he wants to leave. Does he want to leave?
He hasn't said so, you know, and he likes London, you know, and as most people do that come down from Scotland, they absolutely love it in London. They can get home easily as well for, you know, to see their parents and so on. So I haven't heard him say anything, and I don't think he's the sort of lad who would be aching for a move. But like all players, he wants to play. So the question is, can Arteta accommodate him? Can he introduce him to the Zinchenko role, but also don't negate the fact that he's a wonderful traditional left back? And because he's had his injury problems, not so much this year because he hasn't played so much, then maybe this is a perfect scenario for him where he's not playing. We can, you know, when we didn't have anybody around to replace him, we overplayed him.
Yeah.
He was overplayed at Celtic. He was always playing for Scotland. So maybe this is a perfect scenario. He's earning big money. He's with one of the best clubs in Europe. He's in the capital city. He can get home anytime he likes. You know, there's a lot going for him to. As long as Arteta says, "I see a role for you," then that's the key. Then I think he'll stay.
Yeah. Lynn is in the live chat also. Evening, Alex and guests. And she goes on to say, I do feel Saka will sign a new contract, as both Arteta and Saka has total respect for Saka and all his players. And I recognise this person. It might just be my brother.
Hey!
Evening, lads, and all viewers to all the Essential Easy Talk. Also, well done to the Irish rugby team.
Yay!
I forgot to mention that. It's supposed to be about football, not rugby.
But actually, Terry will tell you a funny story. I won't steal his thunder, but he will just about an incident that happened in the supermarket yesterday with Joey. We're going into about the treaty.
Oh, I was in the supermarket, and I heard on the radio that a Limerick match today was called off because the pitch was waterlogged, and there's a soccer team there called Treaty, and they were playing Waterford, and it came in on the radio. The ref inspected the pitch, waterlogged. You could launch a boat on it, but you couldn't play football. So I said to this woman at the supermarket, I said, "Is this rain ever going to stop?" And she said something. And then I said, they had to call off the match in Limerick this evening. She said, what match was that? I said, Treaty United. Now, Limerick is known as the Treaty County, isn't it? So even if you didn't know an awful lot about soccer, the clue was in the word treaty. And she went, what match is that? And I went, well, it's a soccer match. Oh, well, have a good evening, she said.
So yes, you can be a bit. But funny, behind all that, all the kids play soccer. It's amazing. Even though around here, like I said, we're only 20 minutes. Rugby is a big sport, and obviously Gaelic games. But everyone, their soccer, as someone says, like the Premier League is still the big thing. And there's a bit of, I remember Harry Redknapp saying one time that he used to cut his grass when international football was going on. Now, I would be a big fan of international football, but for a lot of children, they're a bit like that. It's all about the Premier League. They want to see the results, and they want to see, and you see, obviously, when you're not, Arsenal, Liverpool, United, City, and Chelsea are so close to each other. It really is a proper competitive league. So the Portuguese league, the Spanish league is only really two teams. So the French league is nearly only one team. So do you know what I mean? And I see you there. And then Thomas Tuchel is after getting a job with Bayern, or is he being reinstated? Bayern are going to lose.
They're going to lose Nagelsmann.
So they're going to lose. So in other words, it is really high drama, all right, the Premier League. Yeah.
But I'll tell you also a little thing. When I was at the match against, let me see, Sporting, okay, there was a fella next to me about 6'5" tall. Luckily, he wasn't in front of me, and his name was Dave. And I said, and he's a mate of Little Andy, who's a good friend of ours. And I've met him years before at a cup final in Cardiff, you know, and he goes everywhere. He and Andy follow Arsenal home and away. Europe, no problem. They're often on the plane with the players, the whole shebang, you know. And I said to him, "Did you travel far today?" He said, "Bangor, Northern Ireland." He drove in one day. He drove from Bangor to Belfast, got the ferry across to Stranraer in Scotland, and all the way down. I said, "That's a heck of a drive." He said, "No, it's a straight run." And I said, I mean, the match didn't finish till nearly 11 with all the penalties. And I said, "Well, you're not going to drive back now, are you?" He said, "No, I'm booked into a travel lodge and I'm driving back tomorrow." So this is the amount, I mean, this is in Northern Ireland, but this is the amount soccer's loved.
Oh, it really is what they call it, opium for the masses. It really is unbelievable. And I have to say, we went in to the Brentford match.
Yeah.
We went in now the atmosphere, we were above in Finsbury Park around there before we went in. But we went in beforehand and we were there for the warm-up. Joe, they were all below the corner. It was unbelievable. It's a great experience now. And it was below, and next thing, the stadium started filling up. And of course, we got a great rendition of it ourselves. My home, what's in North London? My home,
sweet North London forever.
So they started singing that all around us. It was just atmosphere was unbelievable. You couldn't compare. Like everyone's on here about American sports or the basketball or NBA or what they call the NFL, the football. You couldn't compare it to a real North London or a Premier League match with a team going. And that match, although unfortunately Arsenal, the famous VAR situation, but anyway,
and they've proved since that it should have been
a goal. And your man has been sacked actually since. Anyway.
Guys, last topic. Has the international break come at the right time or the wrong time?
I think it's all right because. Listen, you know, we were doing okay, but we were pulling victories in the last minute for a few matches, you know.
Yeah.
So now it's come. We can regroup. Arteta and his backroom team have got some time to think things through, plan for various matches. He's a man for massive detail, and he's got a team around him that plan in massive detail. So it's come at the perfect time. All we've got to worry about is getting the players, Saka and Partey and so on. We need them back safe and sound and not to pick up any injuries abroad.
Yeah, and Saliba obviously and Jesus will get 2 more weeks. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Now I presume Jesus has not gone off to Brazil. I presume he's just maybe. Although you wouldn't know. Are they playing Morocco? I think that's Saturday night. I saw that fixture someplace, and I think that's it. But Saliba's not playing tonight, and I'd say he won't probably be playing. Konate actually, and I don't know who the other guy is. We're playing centre half tonight for France, and France are playing actually Ireland on Monday night, so they'll have the Evan Ferguson test.
Oh
yeah. So, no. So I think they might be good for us in that point of view to get lads refreshed. And like I said, it's every weekend then, except for the Man City match, so you can get your best 11 on the field and let Trossard play. That kind of a new, or maybe Trossard might be starting some of the matches, but you know, you have that options. You have maybe Jorginho, and Holding now has proved to be a reasonable replacement. And I always liked Holding. I know he wasn't flashy, but he's honest and he's very, and there's a lot to be said for that. The old Arsenal, Tony Adams, obviously a class apart, but Tony Adams, maybe Martin Keown and Steve Bolden, they played significant roles too, and but they were all on winning teams, and that's the key aspect. It's a winning team or winning squad, actually, if you just stretch it out properly.
Guys, so we haven't won the Premier League in almost 20 years. We haven't won any European silverware for almost 30 years. How well, no doubt, if the numbers are right, we will be in Europe in the Champions League next season. But how well can this team really perform in the Champions League.
I've got to say, I'm one of the few fans that has seen us actually in the stadium pick up a European trophy.
Yeah.
I didn't go to Copenhagen against Parma, but I was at Arsenal as a young lad when we beat Anderlecht 3-0, and that way we kind of did it on aggregate. I think the European game is different, and we've seen that the sort of masters of that are Real Madrid. They can pull it out when all's said and done. They have a style of play that suits Europe. And if I was Arsenal, listen, we all want to win the league. Now, we did get to a Champions League final, but again, the fates conspired to lose a player, a goalkeeper, after 19 or 20 minutes. So, if to me, that's further down the line. Let's establish ourselves as winners. Let's see of the league. Let's go from there, and let's do our best in the Champions League. Okay, and then we can kind of take another view of it in a season or two's time. See how things have gone in Europe, because Arteta's got a way of playing. Now, if you want to play in Europe, he may have to adapt. It's a different, slower style of play, quick, slow, that kind of game. So I'm not too worried about Europe now. The only advantage of the Champions League, because I've been there, I had a season ticket for many decades, and we used to do pretty okay in the Champions League until we played Barcelona or somebody. Yeah. And they give you flags to wave and plastic bags to wave, and then you're out. And you go, I've just been sitting here in matches in the middle of November, absolutely freezing, and we finally get through to February, and you say, oh, you're going to see one of the greatest teams, and they go, bang, and you're out. So, let's not put too much stock. Uncle Stan wants that.
Yeah.
That's what Uncle Stan wants, never mind the league, but you have to get the league normally to get into the Champions League or be challenged for the league. Yeah. So Uncle Stan wants that. And of course, it's the deep dream of every Arsenal fan to win the Champions League. But to be honest, one dream at a time. Yeah. Let's get the league sorted and then take it from there.
And that league, like to win a league or to win a Champions League, I should say. I mean, I remember I just happened to watch Real Madrid's entire run last year. The Liverpool, Man City, Chelsea, was it Bayern, whoever. I watched all those matches. Just happened that I was off all those nights, and it was actually like Real Madrid against Liverpool this year. Liverpool were 2-0 up after 20 minutes. Real Madrid beat them 5-2 at home.
Wow.
Unbelievable. Yeah. Some of these European teams, they're really it is their world. It is their world. And particularly the Iberian teams, both the Portuguese and the Spanish teams, the European thing means so much to them. And I suppose it means a lot to PSG as well, but they're suffering from a lack of they actually, if the Spanish league is ideal preparation for Europe and the Premier League is over preparation, well, the French league is under preparation because PSG never seem to get it right. They just don't seem to, even with the greatest players in the world. So I don't think, but I would agree with Terry, if Arsenal could win the Premier League, then they would be going forward. And they have a very, very young team. So they could develop, you know what I mean? It's like players could develop. I mean, I remember Porto, actually, was that the year? Porto, actually, no, the year of the Invincibles. The year of the Invincibles, Porto won the Champions League. And they had won the Europa League the year before, and Mourinho was the start of Mourinho, so he was really able to play that out. But I always felt it was a competition where if you were kind of well prepared, technically sticking to the plan, and highly motivated, you just get over the hurdles. There's less hurdles. Yeah. Mark Lawrenson, he's on television here a good bit. Mark Lawrenson was challenged one time that when he won it, I think it was 83-84, there was 3 or 4 Irish players in that team, and he said, it was easier to win it. He said it wasn't that easy because from the quarterfinals in, it was the same as it is now. So in other words, it was always competitive, and the European, and like Bayern, I suppose Ajax, Juventus, AC Milan, they're big clubs with big European traditions.
Let me go into the live chat to see what people have been saying. There we go. My brother's back in. He says it's coming at the right time. This international break. As always, my concern is that overplaying Saka. Will Arteta rest Saka? I think not. Winning team stays on.
Yeah.
All right. Lynn says the international break has come at the right time, not to come back injured or too tired. My concern is for Saka because I watched England last night and Kane was letting Saka do all the hard graft.
Yeah.
I was watching the Champions League, that final. Felt the ref spoiled the game with the red card. However, Eltel says, let's finish the season well, buy well in the summer, and then we go again.
Interesting sidelight on that, Alex, is that the ref who reffed that final and sent off our goalkeeper, Lehmann, he says he since said, I wish I hadn't sent him off. I wish I'd given him a yellow card. Because it spoilt the game as a contest. Wenger took off Pires and we had Almunia in goal, and it all went kind of belly up in the last 15 or 16 minutes. So what a shame! Yeah. I wouldn't have minded going up. Well, nobody wants to go a goal down in a final, but to keep 11 men on the pitch would have been key, and it didn't happen. And you can't play virtually a whole game with just 10 men.
No.
Yeah. But my concern is, Tim, is them lot down the road in Chelsea. They've won the Champions League twice inside a decade. And we were in the Champions League for how many years? Never got to one final, and we still haven't gotten over the line. So
there's no doubt about it that Thomas Tuchel was not going to be unemployed for long.
No,
because truth be known, he won that Champions League, and I always smile because I don't look. I feel Odegaard is better than Lampard and Gerrard, because even though they were that style of player, I feel Odegaard is more honest. He works harder. He's more of a team player. But anyway, just go back to the Lampard point for a minute. Harry Redknapp went in when Lampard was sacked that year, and he said, I don't know anything about these players, but managers can't make bad players into good players. And he said, just look at the Germans. And if you remember, Thomas Tuchel came in that time, and the big players for him, and N'Golo Kante, of course, as well, but Rudiger at the back was majestic. Yeah. And N'Golo Kante in midfield, and the third player that was significant was, I think, Timo Werner and Kai Havertz up front. So Thomas Tuchel actually did get those Germans playing well, and he got it right. So Thomas Tuchel, and of course, you'd be all glad to hear there was a lot of speculation that Spurs were trying to line up Tuchel, but I'd say no manager wants to go near Spurs. They have dream for Antonio Conte. Like, that man needs a long holiday now. Like,
my wife was telling me about that bit where Mourinho was basically cussing Tottenham and the whole shebang. And I turned on this thing today, and I hadn't realised somebody had overdubbed it. And I heard him effing and blinding. And I said to my wife, did he really swear? And she said, no, someone's dubbed it. I was going to say the guy was lifting the place out of it.
He's after coming back from health issues to go back to see whatever, like Spurs just pretty much do. Now, I do accept it's not entirely he's probably very quick to transfer to the players, but he does make the point that there's always an excuse for some of these players, and even Harry Kane. Now, I know probably not tonight of all nights after getting the record yesterday, but Harry Kane beating Wayne Rooney, I don't think you could compare Wayne Rooney to Harry Kane. Wayne Rooney was a very good player. He was much more. He was a real charismatic player. He carried squads of players. Harry Kane has had a lot of mediocre performances in my eyes. He's never contested. Happy for fourth, if you know what I mean.
What I would say about Harry Kane is his granddad
Irish.
His dad was from Galway in Ireland, so he's a half decent player. He should be wearing a white shirt.
And actually, before we go, this will probably be the reason I won't ever be invited back to Cannon Fodder again. Hear this. There's an Irish guy, and I don't think it's the Guardian or one of the English papers. He writes for it, right? And someone said in the commentary last night, it was a great night for Declan Rice, his 40th international appearance. And your man said, no, it's not. It's his 43rd. He played 3 times for us before he did that. So I think your man close down his social media account for a week or two.
All right, last few comments in the live chat. Oh dear. Ashley says Spurs will always go for a foreign manager because they hope he would not have heard of them before.
I love it.
Lynn says, may I ask you all a question? Of course you can. About our England team. No, you can't. If you were a player at the top of your game, how would you feel if you were being overlooked by players keeping the bench warm?
No, it's like the England team. Who's keeping? I don't think.
I don't know who's keeping the bench.
Yeah, I don't know who the like. I put it this way: I was pure delighted Ben White wasn't brought in because I was saying, oh yeah, because to be honest, he is back in form again, and he would actually. Now maybe they're talking about the Trent Alexander, but like they're not going to go down that road. That ship has sailed. He's not going to picking him, and the reason he's not picking him is the reason Real Madrid got 5 goals. You know what I mean? It's a simple. It's not it's X equals Y plus Z. That's equal. That's the formula. You can't have the most creative right back in the world, but he doesn't want to defend. Now maybe that's what the person is insinuating there. Maybe that's the talk about why isn't he starting. But other than for me, the English team that starts is probably the best English team available. I know there's question marks, and but like in general, it's fairly well reflective of the English players that are going well. And like I said, from an Arsenal point of view, when Ben White wasn't named, I was very happy because he was showing signs of fatigue. Now, not against Palace, I would like to add. He's back to his best, but he definitely was showing like playing a lot of matches, European matches, all these things were catching up with him. He could do with a break. And he seems to be to always cross me as a player that kind of enjoys. He plays better if he's kind of really enjoying his football. He's one of these people, he'll play a central role. He's a very talented player. And actually, I saw one piece of analysis say that when Arsenal at some time in matches, he has an ability, of course he's the first choice anyway, but he's had to tuck in and provide a kind of a back three. Do you know what I mean? That we have when we go to this flat out attack of 5 players across, that he kind of sits in behind Saliba, beside Saliba and Gabriel, and like lets everyone else kind of attack. So he's very, very central player to Arsenal being successful this year.
All right, listen, we'll come to an end on this latest segment with the H-men, not the henchmen, the H-men.
The henchmen.
Thank you so very much. We did start with the Don, but I think the Don has got other more important and pressing issues to deal with. He might make an offer to somebody they can't refuse somewhere. But guys, thank you so very much. It's been a joy and a very interesting one. Tim, are you going to be coming back to the shores of England anytime soon?
No, we're not the next season anyway. Now we're back full steam ahead of work now, so I'm kind of tied up now from here. And of course, myself and Terry will be engaging the greatest sport of all, the Munster Hurling Championship for the days. But I even know, so we won't be back for a while. But we had a great night, and actually in the Gunners as well. That was very good. We really enjoyed it. It was brilliant. It was great fun, and I have to say, we kind of we were there the day before. Around not just North London, because my dad obviously worked over there, and that was exceptionally really kind of enjoyable, because I'd been back a couple of times obviously, but since my father passed away, it was the first time someone had kind of taken me around the old neighborhood kind of thing. So it was really interesting to see that. Brilliant. And of course, every time I go over, it seems to be got a little posher than it was last time.
All right, guys. So that's it. There's no Easy Talk next week Friday. It's half term, which means I give myself another break. In regards to seeing those H-men or henchmen, I might have to take the trip to Ireland sometime. I might have to go over there. To Emerald Isle. Is there an invite? Am I invited to go over?
Oh yeah. Very much so. Yeah.
Somewhere to stay, maybe? No, maybe not. Okay.
We'll sort you out.
Yeah. Once you start.
All right, that's it, guys. I hope you did enjoy this latest segment of the Easy Talk with the H-men in the house and Don Larry gone somewhere making an offer that they might not refuse. Anyhow, this over here, this has been Cannon Fodder, the channel for Arsenal fans.